This movie absolutely blew me away the first time I rented it. I remember I think me and my friend rented this from a family video, and he rented something like Scream 2, just a really, generic movie to me. And I rented this one, and for some reason, all of my friends in high school, they would only listen to music or watch movies that came out in the last like 5 or 6 years, while I was into movies that came out 30 years, music that came out 30 years before. The Doors, Led Zeppelin, things like that. Anyways, my friend, I remember we watched Scream 2 and he fell asleep, and we popped this one in, and he stayed awake for maybe the first 10 minutes, and then he was out. And when the movie gets going, like, I remember Bruce Campbell was, to me, he was like such a handsome man. He looked like he belonged in a Disney movie, and here he was in the goriest movie I've ever seen, the most brutal movie I've ever seen. And it really rocked my world. This movie doesn't hold back at all, and it doesn't let up. If you've never seen it, get ready for a wild ride. Even by today's standards, this movie holds up with the pacing and with just the sheer shock factor. I think the first deadite in the movie happened during the card scene, where they were trying to, kind of like Ghostbusters, where they were trying to say what the symbol on the card was before it was turned around. And when you see that first deadite, from then on, it just became just brutality, just over the top horror like I've never seen. I remember watching, the week earlier, I watched something like Day of the Dead, and to me it was just like whatever. Like, it was gory and whatever, but it didn't shock me. My jaw wasn't on the floor. And this movie, in terms of special effects, in terms of sound, it is just relentless. It just pounds on you like a Mike Tyson fight. Bruce Campbell, in the first movie, he's kind of a wuss. It seems like cabinets are always falling on him, and he doesn't really stand up and fight until the very end, when he's forced to, when he's the last one standing. And I guess it's kind of a neat character arc that he, at the end of the movie, he becomes a fighter. But I remember just thinking, man, this guy's, why isn't he helping? Why is he so timid? And and it's funny because Ash Williams, the character, evolved into something else later on, but in this movie he was very much reluctant to stand up and fight. And of course, back in the day, I think this came out in '82, and there wasn't CGI, and these guys had a very small budget to work with, so you can tell that they just threw in the kitchen sink in this movie. Everything they could throw at you, they threw at you, especially towards the last probably 20 minutes of the movie. It's just wild, the things that they came up with to shock you without having a budget, without having computer effects. They just used anything and everything, and you really get that feeling, that claustrophobic feeling that you're Bruce Campbell, you're trapped in this situation. You have to live until dawn, and what would you do? And I don't think a movie before or since has had me, like biting my lip and just sheer, I guess, anticipation of what's going to happen to this character. And in terms of, like I said, like Ash Williams isn't heroic in this movie. He's not Mr. Bad by any means. And in Evil Dead 2, he really becomes that, the machismo, bravado Bruce Campbell that we all know and love today. I gotta say that Bruce Campbell and his character Ash Williams, I was probably 17 when I saw this movie, maybe younger, maybe 16. And he really became like this kind of role model, for lack of a better term. He was kind of an example of, what I thought a man should be. He, in the later entries, he really stepped up to the plate, and he could take on anybody. And he was resourceful. He used his tools. He used his wits. He used his strength, and it just became, to me, he was what John McClane and Snake Plissken might be to other people. He was just a man's man, if you will. I remember watching the sequel, and I was a little disappointed because, they introduced humor into it, and the first one was very much just a rock'em sock'em, edge of your seat terror. And the second film, it had some eerie things and some scary parts, but it was by no means a shocker like the first one. And then, of course, that was amped up even more in the third one, which was, to me, it was just a comedy. So I was disappointed in the direction that the second movie went in, but I know that the second movie is the favorite movie of a lot of fans. And I got to say that the humor, while I didn't want the series to become humorous, I got to say the humor is very sharp, very on point, very intelligent. There's a lot of subtleness in the humor, as well as the slapstick. So if you haven't seen the second movie, check it out. I don't know why, but the first movie has a really nice remaster. The sound is great. The picture quality is great. The second one still sounds like a VHS tape. I really wish they would do some kind of restoring the sound, or making it sound better. I got to say, I really like the score in the first movie, and I don't like the score at all in the second movie. And maybe that's another thing that kind of turns me off. But the lopping off his hand and the hand coming alive, that stuff is just iconic in the world of horror. This guy right here, I remember I bought him at Spencer Goods when I was probably 17 years old, and I think he still holds up dang good. He's got his boomstick back here. He's got his chainsaw. He's looking a little worse for the wear. I actually had to store him in my garage for a while, and so the shotgun is a little off. You wouldn't want to fire this thing. But I gotta say, if you haven't seen this movie, even if you're in your teen years, in your 20s like I was, check it out. It's incredible what Sam Raimi did with the cameras, just the innovative angles and shots, and the first person attacks and things like that. He really influenced people like Quentin Tarantino, and just opened up the possibility of what you can do with filmmaking and what you can do with camera work. And I gotta say, Evil Dead 2 had some really original camera angles and things like that. So if you haven't seen the movie, check it out. Get yourself a Blu-ray. turn up the volume. You know, give it a chance, because it does, the build-up is a little bit slow, but once the action starts, it's quite a ride.